Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting of the Lowell City Council to order. Please join me in the council prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Council Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I would request a moment of silence for darkened chambers for Corporal Frank Buckles, the last surviving veteran of World War I, who passed away, I believe, last week. And also, a moment of silence, and our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Japan for the horrific earthquake and the thousands of people who have lost their lives there.
Thank you, Council Caulfield. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Mary Ellen Wasnip, a lifelong resident of Lowell in the Centerville section of the city. She was the wife of Louis Wasnip Sr., and they celebrated their 44th wedding anniversary in November. She was educated at St. Michael's School and graduated from Lowell High School in 1961. Mary Ellen was employed and eventually became sole proprietor of the Beverly Beauty Salon. Mary Ellen and the beauty shop had become a solid fixture in Belvedere on High Street for the past 41 years. Along with being a small business owner, wife, and mother, Mrs. Wasnip was also very active in many church, school, and fraternal organizations raising funds for St. Michael's Parish. She was a member of the Friends of Lowell High School for many years, including serving 2 terms as co-president with her husband. She was involved with the Spindles, the award-winning show choir. Mrs. Wasnip was also past president at various times of the East End Social Club Ladies Auxiliary, contributing to many charities. Surviving her besides her husband, Lou, are her 3 children, Angela, Stephanie, and Louis Sparky Wasnip Jr., and 2 grandsons, Louis and Joshua. We offer our sympathy to the family, relatives, and many friends. She most truly will be sorely missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Mercia. Council Caulfield.
Thank you, and I would also like to say a few words about Mary Ellen Wasnip. A friend to everyone. She worked tirelessly for the Friends of Lowell High School, and a community activist. And she wasn't afraid to speak her mind either, but she had an infectious smile and very generous and compassionate to everyone she ever met. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Council Caulfield. Anyone else? Let us all rise now in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Moving on with the regular meeting agenda, the first item is the minutes of March 8th for acceptance. Motion by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Mendonça to approve the minutes as presented. Any comments, questions? All those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Under City Manager, Communication, responses to council motions and requests. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We received the notification on the City of Lowell versus NL North America, and through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager. Where do we go from here? And was the Wang agreement in the mid-'80s, was that discussed at all during the procedures?
If I could suggest, Council Caulfield, if we do want to bring this up, and obviously you do, we probably want to go into executive session at the end of the meeting in order to get details from the manager as well as the solicitor.
That's fine. that's fine.
So if we can, we can.
All right, and I just have one other question, and Council Mercy brought it up during the subcommittee meeting. I went by that building, and it's not on the communications. I went by that building on the corner of South and Middlesex Street. Mr. Manager, that building is a danger to the health and welfare of the people of the city. That building is ready to collapse. The roof is caving in, the walls are bulging, and should that building decide to collapse, and if someone's in that area, they're gonna get injured. So I think that should be addressed as soon as possible.
Mr. Manager?
Counselor, perhaps you didn't hear the report. Mr. Bakey, would you like to address that again? The building is scheduled to be, we believe the building is scheduled to be down by the end of this week.
Oh, it is, then that's fun.
Well, it may not be down by the end of this week, but the issues with that building historically have been that it is historic. Again, more because of what took place in it than its architecture. But the Historic Board voted about a week ago in an emergency session in response to the building commissioner identifying the building as basically needing to come down. The Historic Board voted to authorize the demolition, and so now it's just a matter of the owner putting the financing together, getting the contractor in place, pulling the permit, and taking it down. And we have some indication that they may be able to make that happen as early as the end of this week, but I can't promise it will be down by the end of this week.
I hate to say this, but before the wrecking ball gets there, it might just decide to collapse itself. That's how bad it is. So I'm very happy to hear that we're addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caulfield. Anyone else under motions, responses? Councilor Elliott?
Well, we had received from you, Mr. Manager, the Inspector General's report. And I guess I want just to know what the next step is, what the plan is. There's a number of conclusions, number of recommendations, some of which have, according to this report, have been implemented. Some of the changes. So I guess I just wanted to get your take, what your thoughts. What's the next step?
Right. Councilor, as you point out, a number of the recommendations already have been implemented. We're in the process now, the solicitor and I, of going through that report, and we'll be working with the Inspector General's office on to get some more information from them on a couple of points. There are some recommendations there regarding notifications to various state authorities. That is taking place. We will be, I've already been in touch with the town of Chelmsford. The town manager received the report yesterday, actually. I received a call today from the chairman of the Chelmsford Sewer Commission. I've not yet had an opportunity to speak with him, but I understand he's calling for this reason. And we'll be going over and taking the recommendations of the Inspector General, particularly as it relates to the fines and the connection issues that were raised, and making some determination, and we'll be in touch with the parties that were identified within the document. We'll be preparing a full report for the council.
Okay, that was it. You got to report back to us, and then, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received a report back from the motion that Councilor Reed and I, Mercy, made together, and I appreciate that. And I understand that there is some concern about the program, the Scared Straight program that I mentioned, but I appreciate that there is still consideration of evaluating other types of programs. I did have an opportunity to meet the sheriff, and he was interested in this Two Strikes program, which is in this report. I appreciate that. There is a meeting on the 28th, which I will attend, and I would appreciate any follow-up information that we get if you get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. Anyone else under communications? Motion by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Broderick to accept the communications placed on file. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Next item under City Manager, requesting approval of out-of-state travel. We have two requests this evening. Motion by Councilor Mercy, seconded by Councilor Mendonça to take them both together. All those in favor of taking them together signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Mercy, seconded by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, we have a communication from the city manager addressed to our city clerk, Mr. Johnson. Please find attached an application for constableship for the current term beginning on January 4, 2011, and terminating January 7, 2014, in the city of Lowell, with my signature submitted to me by Richard M. Carter, 510 Pleasant Street, Drake, Mass. Thank you for attention to this matter. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Sincerely, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. We have a constable bond that needs to be approved on a roll call, if it's the wish of the council. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, dear Mayor Milonazo and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Section 5A of Chapter 566 of the Acts of 1983, I have reappointed the following person to the Lowell Historic Board: Deborah Grossman, Esquire, 176 Star Avenue, Lowell, representing the Greater Lowell Bar Association member, whose term shall expire February 28, 2013. Under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the City Council is required for this reappointment and is hereby requested. I would be happy to answer any inquiries that you may have concerning this reappointment. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch. Second reading by title in the City Council, appointment Deborah Grossman to Lowell Historic Board. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Move approval by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, in City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days, thereafter the following traffic regulations shall be implemented, temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-55, parking for handicapped persons, elderly, drop-off zones. C, in order to accommodate the needs of handicapped persons, there are hereby set aside and reserved for persons having V or HP license plates, as well as temporary handicap parking permits, that the following parking spaces is hereby amended by adding the following. Beach Street East, beginning 157 feet south of the southerly curb line of 6th Street, running southerly along Beach Street for a distance of 20 feet. Section 266-56, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times is hereby amended by adding the following. Ready Avenue on the north side for the entire length. Second reading by title. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Lowell concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. What's the wish of the council? Move approval by Councilor Mendoza, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item, in City Council vote, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with Fortune Wakefield LLC, care of Farley White Management Company LLC, with a principal place of business at 155 Federal Street, Suite 1800, Boston, for property located at 660 Suffolk Street, Lowell. Whereas the City of Lowell issued its request for proposal for commercial office space for the purpose of housing a crime analysis unit and its assigned officers and staff for the Lowell Police Department for a period of 2 years, And whereas Fortune Wakefield LLC is the owner of the premises at 660 Suffolk Street, Lowell, and has submitted a proposal to the City of Lowell in response to its request. And whereas the City of Lowell has accepted the proposal submitted by said Fortune Wakefield LLC, care of Farley White Management Company LLC, now therefore be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the city manager be and is hereby authorized to enter into a lease agreement with Fortune Wakefield LLC, care of Farley White Management Company LLC of 155 Federal Street, Suite 1800, Boston, for property located at 660 Suffolk Street, Lowell. Said lease agreement shall be for a term of 2 years commencing February 1st, 2011, and expiring on January 31st, 2013, subject to annual appropriation. Total payments under said lease agreement for the entire 2-year term shall not exceed $28,350, payable as follows. First year, $14,175, or $1,181.25 per month, or $5.06 per square foot. Second year, $14,175, or $1,181.25 per month, or $5.06 per square foot. Be it further voted that the lease agreement shall contain terms and conditions as the city manager deems to be in the best interest of the City of Lowell. There's no objection. Second reading by title, and City Council vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with Fortune Wakefield LLC, care of Farley White Management Company LLC, with a principal place of business at 155 Federal Street, Suite 1800, Boston, for property located at 660 Suffolk Street, Lowell. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just have a question through you to the manager. Mr. Manager, are we leasing space at the Cross Point Towers for the police department?
The space at the Cross Point Towers, we discontinued our use of the Cross Point Towers. We just, the lease we have there is a pass-through for the federal government. This is a space that we've leased at the Wanna-Lancet for our crime analysis lab for, I believe now, going on 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
It's specialized space that we have there that's adjacent to the, close to the police station. But the space over at the Cross Point Towers, we had the training facility over there. We've moved that to the early garage, and the space that's over there now, it's under our name, but it's sublet to the federal government.
All right, I know it's very reasonable, only $5.06 a square foot.
Right.
But I just had asked that question, do we have space available somewhere else?
No, we had to put this out to bid, and we got this. It's a continuation. It's roughly half of the going rate. As you point out, it's a very good rate that we pay there.
Okay.
But the space over at Cross Point is all taken up by the federal government.
Okay. Then the federal government, the Lowell Police is involved over there as well, aren't they?
No, the Lowell Police are now over at the training facilities over at the early garage.
So the Lowell Police aren't involved in Cross Point at all?
They perhaps utilize it from time to time, but they do not have any offices there.
Okay.
Any other questions? Need a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Mercia. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin. Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. That concludes the city manager's portion of the agenda. Moving on to subcommittee reports. I'll let Councilor Martin get back to his seat. We had a housing subcommittee meeting at 5:30 this evening, so the chair recognizes Councilor Martin.
All right, sorry, I've just been making my notes from that meeting. Yes, the Housing Subcommittee met at 5:30 to consider a number of council motions concerning foreclosure matters in the city. Some months back, I had filed a motion asking DPD to work with the Register of Deeds, Richard Howe, to compile some data so we could at least see where we stood. And Mr. Howe compiled a very comprehensive report. It's online, available to the general public at his website, which is lowelldeeds.com. I should say the Registry of Deeds website, not his individual one. It had some interesting data, and I think there are how you interpret the data, I guess, is somewhat in the eye of the beholder, but at least it sort of brought into focus that we do have a number of foreclosures in the city. There is a fair amount of time lag in between the time a bank takes back the property and then ultimately sells it to a third party. And that's likely to be the time when it's really not in productive use. And that sort of led into one of the other motions that was referred to the subcommittee concerning the foreclosure ordinance or the property registration ordinance that the mayor had worked on before he became mayor, was, I think, chairman of the same subcommittee. So we talked about that, and Kendra Amaral from the Division of Planning and Development made a presentation about the implementation of that ordinance and how it did take some time to get it up and running, but it is working well. We do have most of the lenders now are in compliance. By far and away, we learned that the largest foreclosing property owner is the Bank of America, and the city is working with them. In fact, have a property manager coming to town next week to talk about what the bank's plans are for its properties here in the city. And, you know, our goal is to get those properties, I think, back into productive use, which was, I think, the third element of the subcommittee meeting, is what can we do to get these properties back into the hands of homeowners. And there are a number of programs the city has in place. There are programs through the Lowell Development Financial Corporation, but I know Councilor Murphy, Councilor Dakota have expressed interest in trying to do more and trying to get more programs. So we do think we have some good incentives for first-time home buyers now. That's not to say what we have couldn't be improved upon, and so the charge of the subcommittee back to the administration was to see what else we could possibly do to shorten the time that these properties remain in non-productive use and can get put back into the hands of homeowners. And right now, some of the incentive programs that the council has considered, I guess, would not be permitted under state law, so there may be the need for some creativity or some home rule legislation, but that's something that we're going to continue to look at. So overall, I think it was an informative meeting. No solid action plans came out of it other than to highlight some of the things we're already doing. And I should also note there is a foreclosure prevention task force in place that Frank Carvalho's chair and heading up. And so they're trying to help people before this happens. And the reality, the grim reality is when people lose their jobs, oftentimes there's not a whole lot you can do to save a property from going into foreclosure. So, as to the future, whether we're at the end of this process, the beginning, or somewhere in the middle, everybody seems to have a different view. But certainly, until jobs recover in the region, the state, we're going to have these sorts of issues. So I think the city is doing what it can to address these properties. We have a receivership program that actually the first receivership RFQ request for qualifications is going to be replied to by Friday. And so the real troublesome properties will have receivers put in them, and the others will continue to work to get back into productive use with homeowners. So that was I guess the essence of the meeting. Councilor Broderick and Councilor Murphy also are members of that subcommittee, and I think virtually every other member of the council was present at the meeting. So if any of them or others want to comment, be happy to hear their remarks, but that was the report.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Anyone else on the subcommittee meeting? Accept the report as a report of progress by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of accepting the report as a report of progress signify by saying aye. Opposed, vote. Any other subcommittee reports this evening? Hearing none, moving on to the next item. Verizon New England, 284 feet of conduit in River Place. Motion would be in order to accept the report and adopt the accompanying order by Councilor Murphy, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the vote. Under petitions, we have a pole location request by National Grid to place one pole on First Street. Refer to a public hearing for March 29th by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor of referring it to a public hearing signify by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. We have two claims, one for property damage, one for personal injury. Motion by Counsel Mercia, second by Counsel Mendonça to refer both claims to the Law Department. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Thank you. Moving on to the motion portion of the agenda. The first motion is by Counsel Caulfield. Motion, City Council requests the city manager have the traffic division place church parking only signs in front of the Assembly Christian Church located at 60 Lawrence Street. Second by Counsel Mercia. Counsel Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I received a phone call from a parishioner and indicating that the elderly have a hard time finding a parking spot. There's always cars parked in front of the church for church services or church functions and so forth. So they requested some signs put there for church parking only, especially for the elderly parishioners. I don't know if there's anyone here registered to speak on the motion. The gentleman said he was going to speak on the motion, but I don't think he's here. But, Mr. Manager, that's the request, and I'd like to see if we can honor that.
Council, we'll take a look at that and see
Thank
what
you.
comes
It's
down.
at the end of Lawrence Street,
Lawrence
near
Street.
Church.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Next motion by Councilor Elliott. Motion, request the City Council take the necessary action to ban Level 3 sex offenders from the Pollard Memorial Library. Second by Councilor Broderick. I believe we have someone registered to speak, but let me hear from Councilor Elliott first, and maker of the motion.
That's fine, we can go to the speaker, Mr. Mayor,
okay.
if that's okay with you.
Okay, Diane Cloutier, registered. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Diane Cloutier, 120 18th Street in Lowell. I'd first like to thank Councilor Elliott for making this motion tonight. I support this motion, and I urge the other councilors to support this motion and taking the first step to making the library safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to speak, sir? What the wish of the council to suspend the rules to let all those in favor of suspension so moved. Signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Name and address, please.
Sure, Bobby 2BLE, 33 Middle Street. Thank you very much for that. Couple of minutes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council, for your time. It is with utmost respect and sincerity that I do approach the council on a matter that is concerning to not only myself, but to parents, children, mentors of the community, as well as those obviously considering with the rights and safety of all the aforementioned individuals. As time is of the essence tonight, I want to try to get straight to the point of why I am concerned about the potential filing of this motion. Firstly, and in all fairness, it's definitely important to all of you to know that I am not a lawyer, although I do presume this topic can and will be adjudicated from now till kingdom come, and rightfully so. I am also not a parent. I have not had experiences of bringing a child into this world, of watching them take their first steps, or even sacrificing sleep to make sure that they were attended to. I have not bought school clothes, and I have not been to that first recital. I have not had experiences of being to a Pee Wee baseball game and have not seen them run across home plate. All in all, I have not had the experience of having a child call me dad. So you may ask yourself, what do I exactly know about the subject matter if I know nothing of what it is to be a parent? While that argument can be debated, I will say that I am an uncle of 2 nieces and 1 nephew. I've seen them grow up and have somewhat lived vicariously through my older brother in experiencing those moments as a dad. I am also a mentor and have worked with kids as young as 6. I enjoy community service, and I'd like to consider myself an advocate for progressive issues and positive changes. I'm a career advisor and work with, some may say at risk, others may say low income or disadvantaged. No matter how you slice it, I have experienced firsthand the power of change as brought upon by giving of chances. Now that we've gotten that out the way, it's safe to say that no one wants to see a child sexually assaulted. That's number one. All right. But who do we become as a society when we just have a throw away the key mentality to some complex issues? I am just concerned about segments of our community being marginalized due to past mistakes. Preventative efforts should be definitely at the table for discussion, but I also think stakeholders in the mental health community, ex-sex offenders, should also be contributing voices to any discussion on said topic, in addition to parents and members in the community who are concerned about rights and safety. I am not on the side of the ex-sex offender. I just wonder if we were to I just wonder if we were to serve society best by working to develop better citizens or cast out or even demonize those who've made bad decisions. Upon reading Councilor Elliott's statements of, I'm more interested in protecting something from happening rather than being in a reactive mode, with all due respect, Councilor Elliott, I think this motion is very reactive. There are questions we still do not have the answers to. One, why are we seeing increased violent crimes among young populations, Donald Donato being only 23? Number two, did he have adequate supports from the system to help him deal with any potential mental health issues? I think this brings up a greater issue of why this is not a time federally or locally to cut programs working with such populations, but that's another topic altogether. Was there an efficient follow-up process with respect to his outstanding assault and battery, and how did he get access to such dangerous weapons? In all, have we done our due diligence in these areas? Lastly, I am concerned about the comment sex offenders have rights, but they should not trump the rights of parents who want their children to feel safe in a library. I could go on and on. I wrote this maybe about 20 minutes ago, but it's something that after I read the article I was concerned about. I'm still conflicted, so I think it's important for you all to know that I'm not on either side, but I do think as a society we should be taking these decisions and conversations very, very strongly and not be reactive or quick to judgment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate the comments from the speaker or speakers. And I don't think we're acting in haste, quite frankly. And again, I respect the opinions of the speaker, but it's not reactionary. I am responding to more than one incidences where sex offenders are in the library, level 3 sex offenders. Do they need help in society? Yes, they do. The problem is they don't get it. Whether it's available or it's not, they don't get it. The levels of recidivism are the reason why they're categorized as a level 3. So I am a parent of 2 girls, so I put myself in the position that I don't want to take a chance. I wouldn't want to take a risk, and I would want protections for my girls if they go into the library. So I think going to the library, the reason why we got here is the nature of the problems that are taking place, and I don't want to lose sight of that, and I will speak to that. But on our way there, we realized even when we were here 1 week ago, there was a problem in the library. It's a privilege to me, just like so many other things that we're not entitled to. It's a privilege to go to the library. The people of the city pay for it. They should know that it's safe, that the property is not being vandalized, that it's not being abused, and that particularly parents that want to send their children to the library should not have to worry whether there's a sex offender in there or not. I know that there's going to be, I understand that there was a case in New Mexico that an executive order was issued. I don't know what the legal wranglings will end up as. What I do know is I don't want to take the risk of one incident happening, knowing that this clearly is a haven where, I shouldn't say a haven, it's a place where sex offenders go. I happen to think they're not going to the library to check books out. There are computers there. We've had numerous accounts of people going to pornography sites here and at the senior center. I think that's still another issue that we have to address. I don't think that anybody should be able to access those sites in the library nor at the senior center. So I say the public library because the children are there, and we do ban kids from we ban sex offenders from schools because they contain children, because there are children in there. And again, I believe that we should be banning them from the library. I really don't think that we should let a small vocal segment of the population that are more concerned with the rights of criminals than the rights of children and law-abiding citizens dictate what we're doing with the library. I can tell you from the emails that I received and the calls that I received and the people that have stopped me on the street, they want sex offenders banned from the library. I have heard that some at the library want to call in the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, to contest this because they think these offenders should have rights. Bring them. And when they're here, give them the list from the police department of the sex offenders that are supposed to be registered in the city and are abiding by and are living in the city. I think those are all the comments that I wanted to make. That was the purpose of the motion. I hope my colleagues will support it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly do support it. And I'm done tired of people throwing, oh, it's their constitutional right. These poor people, nobody cared about them, so, oh my God, they have rights. Well, I'm done sick of their rights. Your rights end when they offend me. My rights end when I offend you. I used to be a smoker. I could have gone to any store and bought a pack of cigarettes legally. It's not illegal to smoke, but it's illegal to smoke in the library. Somehow we're discriminating about people's rights of not being able to smoke a substance that is legal, but yet it offends people. So we ban smoking from buildings. We can ban a cigarette this size, but we won't ban a pervert that's going to go up into the library and I don't know if people are thinking I'm saying something wrong, but I really don't really give a darn, because we're banning a cigarette, but we're going to let, oh my God, we're so afraid of the rights to violate these level 3 sex offenders. Do we know what a level 3 sex offender? I didn't put that tag on them. They put it on themselves. A level 3 sex offender is a person that has committed a crime against a child with the means of reoffending. The odds of them reoffending is right up there. I don't want them reoffending any children in my city. I believe they banned them from Bedford. I don't want them in our library, and I think that we can do that. And if we can't do that, I say let's just try. I think they don't have any rights, all right? I don't think they have any rights. If people want to have them babysit their children, let them do it. I don't want them around ours in this library. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Councilor Mercia. Anyone else on the motion? Councilman Mendoza?
Yes, I'm not going to oppose the motion, but I do have some reservations. Through the mayor to the manager, some representative. These sex offenders are already, by policy, prohibited from the children's section. Is that true?
Yes, they are.
So this is just expanding that
To the entire library.
to the entire library.
I believe that's the council's motion.
So this would actually, I assume that we would be passing this over to the trustees of the library to implement if this were to pass?
I think we'd have to look at how that would work. I'd pass that to the solicitor. I think my assumption was that if the council were to pass this, that it would be sent to the solicitor to, put together an analysis of the vote and work with what the proper steps are along the way. And it would require, I would recommend certainly there be an analysis done of how this can be carried out.
Okay. And to Council Mercer's point about what a level 3 sex offender is that really limited to those that have perpetrated an act on a child, or can be in others? I don't know if you know the answer.
Madam Solicitor?
Generally speaking, it would be any sort of violent, extremely violent sexual act. So typically a rape, for example, regardless of who the victim would be. would
But
lead would lead
it's
to that
broader
type
than
of-
just children. It includes children, but it could be
Correct, it would.
other kinds of
It
rape.
could be more expansive, much more expansive than that.
Something violent, okay.
Correct.
I'm concerned about this basically for two reasons. The first is that we could incur costs in our legal department later in defending this, which I think we'll ultimately lose as far as state law stays, as long as state law stays the same. And secondly, I'm concerned about creating the illusion that it's now safe at the library. I think that anyone that leaves a 9-year-old by themselves at the library is creating a vulnerable situation. And I don't want anyone to think that it's necessarily safe just because we implement this. Yes, it may keep level 3 sex offenders out of there, but there may be level 3 sex offenders that haven't yet been labeled that would still be going in there, could still cause damage, and could still hurt some of our most precious citizens, which are the children. And that's what I'm concerned about. So yes, I don't want to defend a level 3 sex offender in any way, but I just want people to be more responsible for everything they do when it involves children. I have 2 grown children now. I've gone through the whole process. They graduated college, so I'm happy with that. Now they're on their own. But along the way, we had to teach them to be suspicious and to be able to take care of themselves and not put themselves in these vulnerable situations. So that's my concern with doing this, is that, again, it doesn't necessarily make it safe. It might prevent some people from going there, but the things that we're thinking we're preventing may happen anyway. I hope not. But the possibility is still there. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm certainly not going to oppose this. I think that we need to look at what we can do. I think everybody here, sitting here and at home, has the same opinion that we need to do everything we can to protect the children and other residents as well. It's not just children at risk with these offenders, but that's the perception. I think it might make sense, based upon case law and some different ideas of what we might or might not be able to do or allowed to do, to refer to the law department to get a report in terms of what can we do and what risk are we putting the city at if we implement a bad, try and put something in place that's non-enforceable, that could jeopardize the rest of the citizens in terms of lawsuits and things like that. In that, by no means am I putting that in front of the health, safety, and welfare of children or other residents. I think that it's incumbent upon us to at least look at this and investigate and get a report on it. The second part goes to, as Councilman Dodds was mentioning, I think that this doesn't mean that, okay, we're going to put a policy in place that bans them from being there. They won't be here anymore. Okay, these folks, if they're going to break the law, are probably going to break it. I think that part of the report that I would like to see is what can we do to enforce? If we ban them, how do we identify them? There's much more to it. It's nice to sit here and say we banned them, we did our job, but I think it goes much further than that. And maybe rather than taking a vote that I think everyone would support, make sure that we take the right vote or implement the right policy, but also come up with the means to try to enforce it, and what is the impact going to be, and what we can do to have maybe a better plan in place. I think we all realize there's issues over there in other buildings, in parks, and so on. So I think that making people more aware and educating some people on it, educating children in schools. I know they have these programs, but I think it's a bigger issue than just a library, and we ought to look at the whole picture relative to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager. Mr. Manager, I would imagine if the motion just passed, you would certainly confer with the law department to make sure that everything was done legally and so forth. And I think that's what Council Broderick is requesting.
That's correct.
And we'll get a full report from the law department on this particular issue.
Right.
And make sure the I is dotted, the T is crossed. Because I don't think we want to do something that would backfire on our face. So I agree that the law department should come back with a full report let the council know where they stand and so forth, but I think the motion is excellent, and I certainly support it.
Thank you, Council Caulfield. Anyone else on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Councilor Dakota, I didn't see you, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate all of the feedback, and Councilor Mercier, I appreciate your passion and your anger about this issue, and I also can respect the concern of the speaker here, Mr. Yelly. I spoke to everybody that would listen about this motion this week, and I was surprised how conflicted people were. Some people, particularly elder, my age and older, were very clear that they supported a ban, and the younger generation tended to be a little more conflicted on it. And it seemed to me that there was a sense that by banning level 3 sex offenders, that we are being inhumane towards them, or we're separating from them from the rest of community and society. And there is a concern about that. But in my opinion, the most humane thing we can do is to protect our children. And this is one step. I understand there's legal issues towards this. I would like to make sure they're resolved, but I do support our standing up for the protection of our children, particularly in our library, where we allow, as Councilor Mendonça mentioned, 9-year-olds to be in the library unattended. And over time, they can easily build relationships with people they see in the library, and become comfortable with them, and perhaps lose that stranger mentality that they might have if they just saw these people on the streets. So I appreciate all of the concern that I've heard over the last week, but I do support the motion, and I appreciate that you brought it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. Just briefly, Mayor. I just want to be clear. Level 3 sex offenders have been incarcerated. They're released. They are a danger to society, in my opinion. They're categorized or labeled level 3 because if you look on the website, on any website, the state website, there is a high risk of reoffending. Why we would worry about any legal wranglings that we may or may not get into. We have legal issues all the time. We spoke of one tonight regarding the boot hydro. I'm concerned about cost, but I'm more concerned about making sure that it doesn't happen once. And I don't know what we have to spend to make sure that we can put a policy in place that will protect one child or one senior or one family. But it's worth it to me, in my opinion. These are not good people. There's a reason why when they come into your community, they have to register to tell you where they live, because they need oversight. They need to make sure that we have to keep a check on them. So I don't think there's any illusion as to what's going on in the library. We've already had instances where they are there. And luckily, nothing has happened. Why do we want to take a risk? I'll look forward to the report, but my point of this motion is to institute a ban. Not any watered-down version, not anything based upon some legal precedent in New Mexico, or we can look at Iowa, we can look at New Bedford. I think that they should be banned, period. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Motion carries. Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just to follow on to the motion, could I give an update to the council on one issue that we talked about last week regarding the library? If that would be all right. Recently we received some additional news from the state regarding our state aid numbers for the library, and we did actually do better than we had anticipated. Not quite the amount necessary for the that we talked about for the security guard, but enough that we feel comfortable in. So we will be extending effective this week, the security guard's hours from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Monday, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Monday through Friday, and of course the night security guard will stay in place as well.
That's wonderful, Mr. Manager. Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Councilor Caulfield.
I'm very pleased and happy to hear that. I'm happy for the employees. I'm happy for the council, the subcommittee. And kudos, because
No, you can-
that was something that it's money well spent, and the dividends will certainly pay for themselves. Thank you.
If you should be thanking the state that they gave us that extra money, but, you know, we did want to move forward on that. We have a number of other ideas that we're working on to make the library, continue to make the library a better place for all of the residents, and particularly for our young people, and we'll be moving forward with those. But I did want to bring the council up to speed on that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there are many buildings in many cities and towns, and probably the most important building is the library, where people can go and learn, get their education, help their education, no matter who they are. They're welcome to go into that library and learn. And I think we all want to see that library prosper, and we all want the people to enjoy that beautiful, beautiful building that was built well over 100 years ago to service the people of this great city. And let it continue to do that, but let it continue to do it in a safe manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Just one question on the security guards. Mr. Manager, what authority do those security guards have? If they see an incident, they see something taking place, do they call the police department and the police comes over, or what? Is there a protocol?
There is a protocol in place. It depends upon the severity of the situation. They work with the supervisors of the library, the people in charge, and obviously if there's something of that requires immediate attention by the police, they can. But there are eyes and ears around there, and they can obviously call the police if it's a serious matter.
And my only concern is sometimes, some of the youngsters or teenagers, they see a security guard and say, oh yeah, just security guard. But if they have the ability to, call the police, and that message gets out, I think. So that's good to know.
They can do that, but we'd like them to work with the people in charge. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the update, Mr. Manager. Next motion by Councilor Elliott. Motion, City Council requests the city manager to report on the policy relative to the issuance of citations for snow removal. Second by Councilor Mendonça.
I figured I would let all the snow melt before I filed this motion. I know it's been a difficult winter, Mr. Manager, but I'm sure all of us have heard, and we probably even discussed this on the floor of the council. There is a state law, and I believe also a local ordinance on snow removal from sidewalks. And I know this was one of the toughest winters, and just trying to keep up, all of us just trying to keep up with sidewalks, with our roofs, and everything else has been a challenge. But I have to say I received a call and a letter from a woman in Pawtuckaville, and I don't want to give her address out nor her name because she's an elderly woman and she lives by herself. But she was quite distraught over. As I said, she's 87 years old. She was pretty distraught over the fine that she got because she didn't remove the snow from the sidewalk in front of her house, and it was $100. And she did appeal it, and it was dismissed by the Deputy Director, Kendra Amal. But the reason she called, first of all, it cost her $400. She's on fixed income. She didn't have, she could barely afford it, and they didn't do a good job. But secondly, one neighbor on one side did it, and one neighbor didn't. So rather than wait till next year and this comes up again, and the policy of the law is everybody has to do it. What is the process, I suppose, for handing out tickets to some and not to others? Because I got to tell you, and I know it happens everywhere. Some people do it, some people don't. How do we give tickets to some people and not? I can tell you up where I live, there's a very large condominium complex or an apartment complex as well. They have snow budgets, but they do it and they haven't done it. So. I guess it's just frustration. I'm sure you're frustrated. We're all frustrated that some people got tickets and some people didn't. And in this case, she was upset. She wants to do the right thing. And I think lesson learned, she knows in this letter that there's the the Operation Rosebud, and then there was a list, but we know that, I think I brought it up, that list was already exhausted, so, I don't know.
If I may, Councilor, I think we should, I'll get you a report that outlines all, get the councilor report and outlines all that. Let me just say that this one, as well as the ban we put on on-street parking during a snow emergency, are the two of the most difficult ordinances that we have, and it raises the whole issue of just how we have to be very careful when we put ordinances in place of how we're then able to implement those.
I agree.
And because we do set people up to think that certain things are going to happen, and then they don't, because it almost becomes impossible to implement them. In the case of the parking ban, and I discussed this with the neighborhood groups at a meeting last night, nobody wants cars on the street when there's a parking ban, yet there's no place to put the cars. And so people call us, why aren't you towing? Well, we just don't have the ability to tow. And so we need to find a solution to that. On this one, since I've been city manager, I can tell you every winter I get the calls, why aren't you enforcing the sidewalk ordinance? And so this year, we made it a priority. We went out and we enforced it. We actually collected money from people for the first time in the city's history on this ordinance. And but we also got I think I got that same letter. It sounds very familiar to me. So again, it's a challenge for us, and but we'll get a report to the council on that.
Councilman Donza?
Yes, I mean, something related to it. It was a citation was given. Then I got an email from a grandson. His grandmother was 89 years old or so and living with her sister. And it came down to the fact that she didn't have a sidewalk. So that's something that should be addressed as well, either going forward or as part of this report. I think that if we're going to issue citations and scare people like that we be sure there's a sidewalk. Because there are plenty of streets where maybe one or both sides don't have sidewalks, and I believe they're exempt from the ordinance by not having a sidewalk to shovel.
I think I'm familiar with that one too. That was up in the Highlands, I believe.
Yes, I did. I forwarded it to you at the time. Yes.
And we looked into that, and again, in that particular case, there's not a sidewalk per se with curbing, but there's a sidewalk area. It gets into all types of gray areas. And again, it was a well-intentioned ordinance when it was put in. It still is a very good ordinance. It's just how we administer it, and we're glad the winter's over.
Yes, as am I.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Last motion of the evening by Councilor Murphy. Motion, City Council requests the city manager consider the inclusion of tax schedules and performance of current TIF agreements in the fiscal 2012 budget document. Seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The essence of the motion is just to include more information in the budget document because it is a form of public assistance and to evaluate that in the same context that you would any other expenditure for the results that it achieves. And also to get a clearer picture of revenue projections on, estimates of when those abated taxes come on through the schedule that's agreed upon in the TIF plans. So it's really just to get give people a better idea of how productive these plans are, and to hopefully produce some better decision making out of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Any other discussions, questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. That concludes the regular agenda. Is there a wish on behalf of the committee to go into executive session to discuss the NL? So, let me just read a motion. Motion by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Go into executive session to discuss the status of litigation relative to NL, public discussion of which would be detrimental to the city of Lowell, and that the city council will adjourn from executive session. Roll call.
Councilor Mercia,
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. We'll adjourn into the city manager's conference room. Thank you.